Morning,
Good
teacher.
morning.
Hello, good morning. All right, ready to finish the week? To give this week an end? What do you think about that? hmm That's motivation, very good. Wake up, guys. Jesus Christ. Let's do this. Okay, so the beginning of the topic, right? What was the week's topic? Who can tell me? No? Do you remember what we're talking about?
Catastrophes, no? I know.
Catastrophes, kinda.
Um, the climate
Exactly.
change.
Climate change. Yeah, that was the topic of yesterday, which was an introduction to what we are going to see on the video, right? On the video is about agriculture, and especially about the creation of coffee. I really like this video because of many reasons. It gives you a real uh, it gives you a real what can I say, a real conscience of what is going on with the climate, with what is necessary to grow our food, because sometimes we don't see that, we are not accustomed to see where our food comes from, right? And in this case, we are going to talk about uh, supposedly an existence coffee crisis that is going on right now in Latin America. It's a very interesting video, very important to have in mind, and it has a lot of vocabulary that can be useful for the future. Okay? So this is a video that we're going to attack today. Let's watch it together, and then you tell me what you understand. Ready?
This is one of the most popular plants in the world. It takes about 3 to 4 years to grow before producing berries, which are picked, washed, pulped, dried, and roasted to make coffee. The world consumes about 500 billion cups of it every year, and it's grown by millions of farmers across Latin America, Africa, and Asia. But there's a crisis on the horizon. This is the only area where the coffee plant can grow, and as man-made climate change warms the planet, it's shrinking. Here in Colombia, one of the biggest coffee producers in the world, the impact of that crisis can already be felt.
En unos 15 años, la producción bajó enormemente. El año pasado fue una producción súper bajita. Yo quedé así aterrada.
Y ese cambio del clima determinado, pues, y todos estos factores que la caficultura se viene a menos, esa cultura del cafetero va a ser un recuerdo.
There are over 100 species of the coffee plant. The vast majority occur in the wild, while a few are cultivated on a farm. 2 of which are by far the most common. Robusta coffee has a bitter taste and is used to make espresso and most instant coffee. Arabica coffee is the good stuff. It has a smooth and mild taste and is used for high-quality coffee. Both species require specific conditions to grow, but Arabica is particularly sensitive. The plant needs temperatures between 18 and 21 degrees Celsius. Too hot and the berries won't grow correctly. Too cold and it can freeze. It also needs a specific amount of rain, preferably with a 3-month dry season to flower. And crucially, it needs warm days and cool nights, so it grows best at a certain elevation. Altogether, that means Arabica grows best between these latitudes. And if you were to create a perfect place for it, it would look a lot like Colombia. Specifically the Zona Cafetera, Colombia's coffee region.
Toda la variedad de climas. Aquí tenemos aguas, tenemos fríos, tenemos calores por el sol.
The coffee farmers grow and process it all by hand here, which is why Colombian coffee has been considered the best in the world for over a century.
Lo amamos porque dentro de ello nacimos, con eso nos levantaron. Quizá a mí me hicieron debajo de un palo de café, yo no sé, tal vez.
Soy muy enamorada del café. He incursionado en el café tostado. Yo lo proceso, lo tuesto, lo vendo tostado. Eso es todo un arte. Se volvió un arte.
But the zona cafetera is also where climate change is already taking a toll. Greenhouse gas emissions have warmed the region by 1.2 degrees Celsius since 1980. That's enough to push the optimal elevation for coffee higher up the mountain, leaving the plants down here to overheat and produce lower quality beans. That's what's happened here on the Villa Gloria farm, which sits at a low elevation.
Hemos tenido unos calores y unos soles insoportables que no existían ahora años.
The warmer climate is also ideal for pests and fungi. Up the slope, some coffee plants at the Santa Fe farm are afflicted with a fungus called coffee rust.
Es un polvillo amarillo, es un honguito que se va secando la hojita y se caen todas, como ves aquí no hay ramas, no hay nada.
And here at the Oasis farm, changing weather patterns have made it hard to predict the life cycle of the coffee plant.
Entonces ha cambiado en que ya no reconocemos con absoluta seguridad como se hacía antes cuándo son las lluvias, cuándo son los plenos veranos, cuándo sí es la floración, tenemos que estar pendientes de la floración cambió y eso gracias a qué, al cambio climático.
Since 2013, the amount of land used to grow coffee in Colombia has fallen by more than 7%, and scientists expect things to get worse. The zona cafetera is projected to warm by 0.3 degrees per decade and see more extreme weather. In fact, coffee-growing regions everywhere are going to be affected. A recent study estimates that by 2050, the amount of land that can sustain coffee cultivation will be reduced by 50%. And it's not just cultivated coffee. Another study estimates that 60% of wild coffee species could be at the risk of extinction because of climate change. Some of these are used to breed more resistant varieties of Arabica, which makes them critical to sustaining coffee production. That's not only bad news for the plant, but also for those who have relied on the coffee industry for generations. In the early 20th century, Americans and Europeans were buying more and more coffee.
We Americans know what we like, and we really do like coffee. Did I say like? Well, we use more than 3 billion pounds of coffee every year.
So prices were high, and that created a boom in coffee-producing countries.
Where does it all come from? Mostly from South America. So let's fly down and get the story firsthand.
Colombia was the second biggest producer in the world at the time. It was mostly grown on large coffee plantations called haciendas that dated back to when Colombia was a Spanish colony. The work was done by peasants, indigenous people, and former slaves, many of whom were forced off their lands and subjected to brutal conditions. The plantations were profitable while prices were high, but in 1929 the US economy crashed. Demand for coffee fell, and so did the price, bankrupting the plantations. Fearing that Colombia's entire coffee industry would vanish, the government stepped in. They purchased these large coffee fields from the owners. Many had more than 1,000 hectares, about the size of 1,800 football fields, and they broke them up into small plots of about 16 hectares each before selling them to laborers. The idea was that these small farms could grow other crops alongside coffee to sustain themselves through price fluctuations. This not only saved one of Colombia's most important industries, but turned it into one dominated by smallholder farmers.
Quienes vivimos aquí, como yo que he vivido toda la vida aquí, hemos vivido bajo los influjos de los ritmos que genera la actividad económica del café.
To support the industry in 1927, the government had created FEDECAFE, an agency that would organize and represent the farmers by negotiating fair prices and favorable deals with other countries. The most important one was in 1962, when Colombia signed the International Coffee Agreement with 69 other countries and set a price minimum for export. As coffee prices recovered, Colombia's smallholder coffee farmers started thriving.
Todo el mundo aquí tenía una casa en el pueblo y una finca, y todos teníamos que ver con el café.
Recordemos que la caficultura sostuvo económicamente el país por muchos años. Recordemos que la caficultura tuvo haces, tuvo flota mercante gran colombiana, tuvo edificios, tuvo muchas cosas. Éramos los ricos del país y del mundo. porque se manejaba a un muy buen precio.
By the 1970s, Colombia was using the coffee farmer, or cafetero, as a marketing tool around the world.
It is here that they buy their coffee. Coffee grown by men like Juan Valdez. Because for Colombians, their coffee is more than just the richest coffee in the world. It is a national heritage.
Today, Colombia is the world's third largest coffee exporter, and there are about 500,000 mostly small farms that make up the industry. But just as these farmers are starting to face climate change, the economics that support them are disappearing. There are several ways farmers can protect their coffee plants from the effects of climate change. Shade trees keep the plants cool and stabilize the soil. Farmers can move their crop uphill, where it's cooler. They can also switch to more resistant varieties of coffee plants. The problem is all these solutions cost money that many smallholder farmers don't have anymore.
15, 20 años para atrás, todo el mundo por aquí sembrábamos café. Sembrando el café hoy en día, lo sembramos a pérdida.
It started in the 1980s, when the coffee agreement fell apart along with the price minimum. Since then, more countries, especially some in Asia, have increasingly flooded the market with cheap coffee. It sparked a crisis around 2009, when extreme weather and coffee rust decimated Colombia's crop. Production fell to its lowest levels in decades. In 2013, thousands of farmers went on strike and demanded that the government provide them with more financial support and establish a reasonable price minimum. The government increased subsidies to coffee growers, but without another international coffee agreement, a return to a price minimum was no longer possible. So coffee prices continued to fluctuate. Today, it's below what many farmers need to break even. That's why it's so hard for these farmers to adapt to climate change.
Para eso se necesitan recursos. Además, tú tienes la tierra aquí, eso se te calentó, ya no funciona bien. ¿Qué vas a hacer? ¿Qué vas a hacer? No tienes como comprar tierra en otra parte o algo así, estás frito.
Y ahora están desesperados porque volvamos a sembrar y volvamos a tener sombrío. Pero eso, hoy por hoy, a los costos de hoy, es muy difícil para un agricultor ir sembrando estas cosas así.
It's forced many farmers in the zona cafetera to replace coffee with other crops.
Empecé a cultivar plátano en una vaina que lo llamamos aquí un cultivo intensivo de plátano.
Entonces, los cultivadores somos los que recibimos la menor remuneración, ¿cierto? Entonces, la gente se cansa, o sea, yo soy enamorada de la tierra y puedo aguantar de alguna manera, ¿cierto? Pero hay gente que tiene sus hijos, tiene otros, o sea, tiene muchas responsabilidades.
And it's not just a problem in Colombia. 80% of the world's coffee is grown by 25 million smallholder farmers, many living in poverty. From Central America to Africa to Asia, climate change is making it harder for them to grow coffee. Unless the price of coffee rises again and farmers have the financial means to cope with climate change, small farms everywhere will continue to be at risk of losing their livelihoods. And in the zona cafetera, that could spell the end of an entire culture built around coffee.
Esos somos quienes hemos vivido toda la vida aquí y bueno, hemos tenido la oportunidad de conocer profundamente el fenómeno del café.
So what's going on with coffee? What's happening? Who understood anything? Tell me.
Me.
Action.
I understand that the production is going to down, or how can you say? It's lower every year.
Much better, much better. Okay.
Okay. And this is because the coffee plant needs a specific weather. So I don't remember that is between I don't know if I 16 or 11 degrees and 21, and of course
okay.
and of course the sun is, the weather is higher, it's warmer, so that's the reason that they cannot plant coffee plants in all the area that they used to do.
Exactly. Mhm.
So what else? And yeah, and they focus on Colombia,
Mhm.
but I would like to know also about Brazil and Vietnam, because they mentioned that are the two other biggest producers
Yes, yes,
coffee.
exactly. Mhm.
But in general, it's that the reason, and also they plant what is the shade trees
Yeah,
to
very good.
protect the coffee plants to the warm climate, but this is so expensive, and the farmers don't have enough money to do that.
To plant them. Mhm. Very good. Very nice. You understood that part of the shade trees. It's important to have to maintain the weather, and that's one of the solutions. No, but of course it's very very hard for them because a tree doesn't grow up in 2 days. No, and if you need a shade tree, you need to move it from one for another site, and that's expensive. That is expensive to move trees in that way.
And I think that it is a short, I don't know how to say, short solution during the time,
Exactly.
the shade
Hmm.
tree at the end. So it is expensive, and also it's not that, and mm, do I don't know how to say duradero or
Lastly,
a
there's
lastly
an
solution.
adjective. Uh-huh.
Okay, a lastly solution.
Hmm. Exactly. Well, that's a very good observation. I agree with you, definitely. And who knows? I mean, fortunately, there is a lot of mountain. Uh, who remembers talking about what Sophie is saying? Who remembers what was the biggest problem of of these plants? Like why were they dying? How is global warming affecting the plant of coffee?
Uh, the fungus or fungi,
Good pronunciation. Fungus is singular,
just
and the plural is fungi.
fungi.
Mhm.
Yes, the increase of grown fungi down the plant, no?
Down? What do you mean down?
In the rices. No, I don't
Okay,
know
how do
how
you
can I
say
say rice.
root?
Sorry,
Root.
root.
Yeah.
Okay,
Let me open the dictionary. But yeah, root.
okay.
But what do you mean down? Because down is not a location.
I try to say the fungi's grown uh, on the root,
Ah, okay, under the plant.
under the plant. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Eliminate down.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, and this is the reason to the bloom of the plant don't continue.
Watch out. The bloom of the plant is singular.
The bloom of the plants.
Uh-huh. No, plant
Okay.
is good. Is good, but you cannot say don't because it's the bloom.
Okay. Doesn't.
Exactly. Again.
That's the reason of the bloom. Sorry, I forget.
That's the reason the bloom.
The bloom doesn't continue.
Exactly. That's correct.
Yeah.
Let's continue. That's right. But that was one of the reasons. The question was, how does global warming affect the plant? As Sophie was saying that something happened with the temperature, right? There was a couple of things that were needed to grow the plant. One thing was the temperature. The other, who remembers? Apart from the fungi, of course.
The altitude?
Good. Excellent, Kari. Yes. It was one, the temperature, and two, the altitude of the location, right? How does the altitude affect the plant, Kari?
Because it's everything about temperature. Then if the plant is a certain altitude, they can have the weather conditions for growing.
Mhm.
But if they are maybe in a low altitude,
Mhm.
they can have not the better conditions.
Yes.
Then now they are putting the plants higher
Exactly. Uh-huh.
because they need the correct temperature.
Precisely. Precisely. Very good. Very, very good. So the heat of the sun is getting hotter every day. So if you want fresh conditions, you need to go up because the temperature is down, is going down. That's a problem. Imagine if you have a land, but the limitation is a certain point, no, of the land. If you want to grow your plant a little bit further, you need to buy more land, and that is a problem. That is a problem. What an issue, no? What kind of what lessons do you obtain from watching this video? Tell me, for example, Fe, what kind of ideas do you have after watching this?
Well, I think that the one that we already have, that it's important to take care of the planet, to do whatever you are able to do, like in your house, for example, recycle, not using all the lights at the same time, in order to the climate get better, or it will be not get better, but it can it cannot be worse.
Totally. Worse
So
without tea.
worst. So I think that idea everyone already have it.
Exactly.
Also that well, in the university, I take a class that talk about a lot about the agriculture. So I already know all the issues they have to pass through, like the lack of the income, that the government doesn't help them.
Exactly.
So it will be important for us to know all the work that is behind when we are eating all the things. It could be coffee, it could be any vegetable, any meat, because there's a lot of work behind your plate, your meal.
Yes, a lot. There's a lot of people that dedicated their lives to give you your.
And it's not an easy job, so.
No, not at all. Exactly. That's very, very important to have in mind. In the class that you took at the university, did they mention anything about Mexico? Is Mexico in the same situation?
I don't remember that we talk about coffee, like in a specific, but yeah, we talk about Mexico in a lot of ways.
Okay.
But no, I don't remember any coffee exactly.
Okay. But anyway, specifically, not in a specific.
Specifically.
coffee.
Yeah, very, very interesting. Very interesting. What about what lessons do you take from this video?
I think, yeah, a little bit more about the agricultures or the people who make them.
Oh yeah, watch out. The people are not called agricultures. That's in Spanish. In English, they are field workers.
The field workers, because we cannot, even when well, obviously we have to care about the planet and everything, but there are things that we cannot stop, like the global change in the world. So we have to care about buying local or something about them, because they need to change their space or their ways to do the things, for give us the same, or not the same, but the similar product as the beginning.
To give us, not
to
for
give
give
us.
us.
Yes, to give us. And as the old lady said, she loves the grant, but they have family. So if we need, or we want to receive the same product or similar products, we have to care about them, because they don't have how give us that product.
They don't have how give us. They don't have a way.
They are losing the way.
Exactly. They're losing the way to give us, to provide.
Yeah.
So then definitely they would need to sell their product in a higher price, right? Do we agree with paying more for the same cup of coffee?
Yeah. No.
Yeah. I do. I honestly do. I have no problem with that, but of course it's a difficult thing to say, because not everybody will agree on paying more. No?
Yeah.
They will prefer to buy like lower quality coffee, and that is sometimes the solution. At some point of the video, they speak about this. One of the solutions has been like buying low quality products, like Nescafe, for example. Nescafe is a very, very massive product, very popular in Mexico, and and it's not really coffee, right? It's just the sensation that you're drinking coffee. So then it's like, okay, how far are we going to get? Are we going to get a normalization of a low quality product, or are we going to pay more for a high quality product? There's a difficult balance going on there, you know. But of course, do you drink Nescafe? Do you like it? Does anybody here know? Maybe saying no? Anybody else? No. So. I really don't like it. I hate it, to be honest. So that's a difficult thing, and yeah, we need to think about all the people that are behind our food. That will be a good idea before getting into ideas and getting into things. But anyway, do you agree that these crises can get prevented? Agree, disagree, why? do crises or can crises get prevented?
Yes, it can be prevented, but as we see in the last class, there is a lot of people that don't want to do anything about it because they lost money.
Okay, that's a very good observation. So then the problem happens right after, no? We cannot prevent things and we cannot change anything because they are losing money. But we can imagine how everything should have been in order to prevent those ideas, right? We are going to use a concept that you probably know, right? Which is perfect models. How to speak about regret and past changes in order to imagine a different reality, right? If we are going to talk about problems that exist today that could have been different, look at these examples. When we talk about crisis, we usually talk about how things should have developed in the past. I want you to analyze the grammar behind this idea. When we talk about crisis, we usually talk about things, about how things should have developed in the past. This idea of should have is a structure that we use to talk about things in the past that we regret. Let's talk about this. Things in the past that we regret. By definition, do you know regret? Or who can tell me the definition of regret?
When you wish to I don't know how to say it. When you wish not have been doing something. No.
Okay, that's a tricky one. Have been doing. Kinda, you're close. Eliminate been and try again. When you wish.
When you wish not have doing something.
All right, now doing is an ing form.
When you wish not have did.
Done.
Past
participle. This structure is complicated because yes, there is no time here. This particular structure is very, very from our level because we are not consider, or we should not consider time. That's not necessary in this structure. What is necessary is to know how the construction of the sentences have past participle and the difference between had and have. So in this case, you say regret is something that you wish you have not done. Do you agree with me?
Yes.
You are so close. The one that you need is had in past. Let's talk about the definition. Regret. Oh, and this B2. That's very nice. To feel sorry about something you have done. You have done up to this moment. Or about something that you have not been able to do. Have not been able. Right? In your particular definition, the word have is using the concept of, okay, recently something happened, right? And today I think about that action. Every time you use auxiliary have, you speak about recent past. And this is one of the structures that I teach my students very constantly. In the structures handbook, I have a list of the 7 structures, no, the 8 structures of English, right? And structure number 6 has this name: experiences in your life, unfinished actions, and recent past. Let's go to structure number 6. Structure number 6, experiences in your life, recent past, and time periods. As you can see here, you have auxiliary have and then the past participle. So the difference between speaking in past normally and using have is the context. If you want to regret something, or if you regret something, you regret something that happened recently. So you should not use the verb in past. You should use the auxiliary have in this case, as you were saying. Right?
Okay.
It's very important to have in mind structure number 6 and structure number 8. Past before past. Why is that? Structure number 8 gives also another event in past. But structure number 8 is called past before past because it happened, one thing happened before another in the past. So let's say, before I came to Mexico City, I had bought a car, for example. Before I came, simple past, to Mexico City, I had bought a car. The auxiliary had gives you sequence. What happened first? I came to Mexico City or I bought a car?
You bought a car.
Precisely. Thanks to the auxiliary had, I know that information. So these two auxiliaries are going to be very effective when we understand regret. And they have a very close correlation with perfect modals. Talking about crisis, we need to dominate. Let me write over here. Structures to dominate, to talk about regret. So this is technically these are the objectives for the week. Number 1. Have and has plus past participle for recent events. No, to talk about recent events. Number 2, had plus past participle to talk about past before past. And number 3, perfect modals which is modal plus have plus past participle to specify the context of the regret, right? Technically, these three are the grammar objectives that you need to dominate to talk about regret correctly. So then you get the following concepts. What are the perfect modals? We have, of course, would, have, plus verb in past participle. Could, could have, plus verb in past participle. Should have, plus verb in past participle. Can't have. May have. Might. Actually, may and might are together. May have or might have. Plus verb in past participle. And I think that's it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think that's it. Should have, must. Oh, yeah, must. Must have. Plus verb in past participle. So the most important thing to dominate here are your verbs in past participle. That is definitely one of the priorities for you in this moment. How do you dominate your verbs in past participle? So? Oh my God, that's gonna be fundamental for you. Fundamental. As you can see, the three structures that we're watching, the three of them contain verbs in past participle. So that is super fundamental. And as we were saying at the beginning, I want you to observe that part because observe that all these structures use the past participle form of the verb, right? This doesn't mean that the past participle is talking about past, and this is a very common confusion. Past participle doesn't mean past. Past participle is only one of the three forms of the verb. Okay? So it's not the time. There is no correlation with the past participle form and the time. Okay? We are only changing the form of the verb in order to make it correct to express. Right? Are you familiar with any of these modal verbs? Should have, could have, would have, may have. Can anybody give me an example of it? Anybody? Would have, could have, should have.
I should have gone to the doctor before all my symptoms get worse.
Nice. Got
worse.
Very nice. I should have gone to the doctor before all my symptoms got worse. I like it. In this example, Fer regrets not going to the doctor on time. Do you agree? Very good. I like it. What about, what else? Who else can give me another example? Nobody else? Come on, guys. Okay, so this is difficult, huh? Go on, try it. See, Sophie, you want to say something?
Yeah,
Try it. You can.
I was formulating my example. I could have studied. I think that is study the past participle of the verb is studied.
Sure. Right.
I could have studied English before I have to I have to pass an exam. Yes.
Exactly. Everybody thinks about that.
Yeah.
Everybody agrees. Everybody in this class agrees with you. I could have finished my English before. That is something that is so true. You know? And of course, like this regret sensation is like, okay, I have to postpone everything again, right? Which is very, very important.
I have a doubt.
Yeah, sure.
The first verb that we use, for example, in my example, I said I should have go. Go is in present or it's also in past participle?
Past participle.
Okay, so I should have gone to the doctor before, and then the other verb before my symptoms got worse. It's also in past participle.
No, in the second one, it's in simple past because this is the context of the idea.
Yeah, yes.
Right?
Gotten, yes.
That one in particular needs, no, I mean, got in past participle is also got in some cases. In America, we use gotten, but got is possible too. But that is not past participle because in this case, the second part is the time. When you said before, then I need time. Are you going to speak in future or are you going to speak in past? So the time is not carried in the past participle. The time is carried in the second idea. That was a very good observation.
Okay.
You see, before I got. For example, in Sophie's example was, I could have finished or studied English before I have to pass an exam. Have to, we need to change this time, Sophie, because have to is present.
Yeah, I can have it because it is in past.
Correct.
I have. Okay.
Before I had to. And even though you are training in this moment to pass an exam, you need to speak in past because the regret happens in past. Right? So it doesn't matter if it's a situation that happens right now, you need to speak in past. Use the verbs in past.
But with the regrets, we always have to speak in past. We cannot regret something that in the future.
Totally. Exactly. You cannot regret anything in the future because that is predictions or prevention.
Okay.
Right? So that is precisely the point here. It's impossible to regret in present. It's impossible to regret in future. It's impossible to regret in present continuous ing, right? Everything goes in past. So technically you are practicing and you're molding your speech using the four structures in past. For simple past, auxiliary have, auxiliary had, and perfect modals. That's the past in English in a nutshell. And it's super easy. to be honest, if you think about this in Spanish is more complicated. In Spanish, we have 5 conjugations of past. And in English, you only have 2. Past and past participle. Finish. So we only need to find the logic of the structures. When, in what specific occasions do we need structure number 1, structure number 2, and structure number 3? And then you have your speech. See? So this is what the lesson is going to be about. Alternating our past. Talking about past in different structures. Let's talk about that. The different ways, 4 different ways to talk about past. Okay? Here you have a list of the 4 structures that I am talking about. It says using the verb in past, finished actions. Number 2, referring to recent decisions. Number 3, referring to verbs that happened before others in the past. And number 4, using perfect modals, right? It's exactly the same thing that we are talking about. All these structures are in your structured handbook, okay? Structured handbook that I need to pass to you. This particular handbook contains all the basic structures, and they represent the standard way to speak English. The only formula that is not here yet are precisely perfect modals, because perfect modals are not basic structures. Perfect modals are a little bit more advanced, right? In the intermediate section of this handbook, we are going to find perfect modals. Okay, so let's talk about these structures. Using the verb in past. These are finished actions. Structure number 3. Give me an example of a finished action, Connie.
I already sent you the email.
Perfect. I already sent you the email, no?
Yes.
Good. Very nice. As you can see, Connie didn't use any other modifications, only the verb in past, sent. Right? Structure number 3 is that, precisely. Number 2, referring to recent decisions. Recent decisions is structure number 6. Tell me a recent decision that you have taken, Alex.
Sorry. I have already woke up.
I have already woke up. Guy, I like it. I like it. But when we are talking about recent things, that sounds weird for some reason. Why does it sound weird? I have already woke. First, oh, okay. I know what it sounds weird. Woke is incorrect. It should be woken.
Woken, yeah.
Uh-huh. And that particular structure is not used because this is not something that affects your present. When you wake up, we usually speak in past only. I woke up. I woke up at this time.
Okay.
You know?
Yes.
And also, when you are sleeping, you cannot say, I haven't woke up, you know?
Okay.
So that's why it's impossible to say. Another action that can affect your present?
Um, uh, I have already taken my breakfast.
For example, okay, I like it. I have. What is the verb that we use for breakfast? When we spoke
Taken.
about that. Now, when you take something, you take medicine.
Oh,
But for lunch, dinner, and
yeah.
breakfast, you use a different verb.
Eaten
Had.
my breakfast. Okay.
Yeah, the action is have. When you speak about lunch, dinner, and breakfast, you have breakfast.
Have. Have.
You don't eat.
Okay.
You eat the food, but you have your breakfast.
Okay.
Correction?
Okay. Uh, um, I have taken my breakfast. No, I
Again?
can't have. I
Exactly.
okay.
Complete?
It sounds weird for me
Why does it sound weird for you?
because I repeat have.
Precisely. Are you repeating have, or are you? Because if you say have in the same time, present, yes, that's definitely incorrect. But if you get in mind that the first is not a verb, it's an auxiliary, and you see the difference between an auxiliary and the verb, then it makes sense.
Okay.
The first half is not a verb. It's only the word that we use to give context to the idea, the auxiliary of structure 6.
Okay.
And the second is have the verb, the action of breakfast.
Okay.
You see?
I have already have my breakfast.
All right. I have already past participle.
Has.
Exactly. It's not have, it's had.
Okay.
Correction?
I have already had
Yes.
my breakfast. Okay.
That is correct. That is a recent event.
Okay.
Probably when we talk about recent things, it's not that right to use already. Already probably is used. Well, no, it can be possible. Yeah. Also, you can use just. I have just had breakfast.
Okay.
But that's important to have in mind. Keep in mind that you are not repeating the word, right?
Okay.
One is an auxiliary, the other is a verb. This can help you also with the verb be, because sometimes the verb be is auxiliary and verb at the time. And you can also say, for example, I am being honest with you. I am, the verb to be, being, ing.
Okay.
I am repeating the verb in between quotations, but I'm not. It's the auxiliary and the verb.
Okay.
Got it?
Got it.
Good. That is a good thing. I have had breakfast today. That was recent.
I think the sound crashes my brain. No, have
Exactly.
too near, uh, but uh, but the structure is correct. No?
Precisely. That's why the three components of language is sound, context, and structure.
Okay.
Of course, it will sound wrong because in Spanish there is no similarity. But
Okay.
grammatically it is correct, so you just need to get adapted to the sound. and quickly it becomes normal.
Okay.
See? Very nice. Good observation. Good. Let's go to number 3. Referring to verbs that happens before others in the past. Now, past before past. This is very similar to what we were saying. It's something that have happened before another action in past. Right? Give me an example of past before past. Structure number 8. Help me. It's. Something that happened in the past before another in the past.
I had studied marketing before I worked in this company.
Perfect. I had studied marketing before I worked. The two things happen in past, and one give sequence to the other. Very good. Excellent. And the last one, number 4, using perfect models. This is going to be the part when we introduce structure 11, because structure number 10 was passive voice. Okay. And these perfect models are precisely the ones that we are managing in order to speak about regret, crisis, problems, things that you wish would have been different. I wish this would have been different. The first one that we are going to talk about is would. I wish it would have been different. Structure number 11. It says here, I wish it would have been different.
Sorry, teacher, can we go back to the previous slide, please?
Sure. Yes, of course. This one over here.
Thank you.
Yes, of course. There you have it. So the expression would have, the first one is I wish it would have been different. Would have, which is, there we go. Would have is something that happened or didn't happen in the past as a result of something else. This is when we use the imaginary situation. Okay? This imaginary situation is used to talk about things that didn't happen. Well, didn't happen or happened, it doesn't matter. But you wanted a different result. Let's talk about that. You wanted a different result. Look at this example. If he had called me, look at how we are using auxiliary had to give context. If he had called me, I would have gone to the party. He didn't call me. For that reason, I didn't go to the party. This is the thing that didn't happen. The formulas that we are using here is auxiliary had to give context. Structure number 8. And would have gone. Structure number 11. You see what I mean?
Yes.
Very nice. Let's talk about examples. Help me. Give me one, Connie.
If my sister had put, it's the same in past participle, right?
It's put.
If my sister put, no, if my sister had watered the plants, they wouldn't have died.
Right. Exactly. I like it. Very good. If your sister had watered the plants would have not died.
Yes.
Very good. Very, very good. This is a very interesting thing. The negative happens after would have. If you want a negative idea, it's would have positive and would have not negative. Plus the past participle. Okay. I want you to practice the contraction as well. Would and the auxiliary, well, the contraction of. Okay. The contraction is the most common, so keep it in mind. Pronunciation, everybody. Would if.
Would it?
Would if.
Could it?
Yep, everybody. Would if. Hello.
Would if?
Excellent. Would if. Exactly.
Would it?
That's right. In a moment,
Would
I give
if.
you phonetics. All right, let me just give me a moment because Jessie will pass attendance. Let's go, Jess.
Hi, hi. Good morning,
Hello,
everyone.
girl.
We are going to take attendance.
Yes, of course.
Bonnie?
Here, good morning.
Thank you, Connie. Itze?
Hi. Good morning.
Hi, Itze. Thank you. Good morning. Luis Alejandro?
Good morning.
Good morning, Luis. Thank you. Fer?
Here, good morning.
Good morning, Fer. Thank you. And Sophie?
Hi, Jessie.
Hi, Sophie. Thank you. So that's all?
That's all.
Thank you. Good day.
You too. Thank you very much. Very nice. What if? That's a pronunciation in English. In the contraction. Right? And the other, of course, the negative, be careful, because many people pronounce not, like in Spanish. The letter T, not letter O, has a different sound in English. Do you remember how to pronounce this one?
It's not.
Exactly, very good. With A. Right? So the negative for would have, negative is would have not. Eliminate not. Okay, the pronunciation is incorrect if you say not. Positive and negative. That's it. So if your sister had watered the plants, they would have not died. That would have been better. Give me another thing. Something, imagine you wanted a different result. Help me. Fair. Give me one.
If she had bought the apartment, it wouldn't have been so expensive.
Oh, it wouldn't have been. It wouldn't have been so expensive. White bean.
It wouldn't have cost. No.
Aha, exactly.
It wouldn't have cost so expensive.
So much. Yeah, because you are saying, if you say that, I understand that. Wait, did she buy the apartment or not?
No.
She didn't, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then, because that idea makes me understand that she bought it at the end.
Another example. If she had finished her relationship, she wouldn't have suffered that much.
Oh, very good. I like it. If she had, in this case, it's not finished, because when you finish, it's a process that
Broke up?
you. Much better. Okay, I like it. Much better.
So if she had broken up,
Excellent. Broken.
if she had broken up her relationship, she wouldn't have suffered.
Suffering past.
Suffered?
Suffered. Yeah, you need suffered because it's the formula. I usually put the formulas in the balloons, so that's much better. Okay, would it have broken up her relationship? I think when you use the word break up, let's go to the dictionary. When you use breakup, you don't say the relationship because their marriage has broken up. Like when you say breakup, the relationship is implicit. Either it's the subject, never the object. It's not after the verb. It's before. So let's switch her relationship. Repeat that.
But I have to say relationship or just had broken up.
You can omit it or you can put
Or I
it
can
before.
Okay, so if I put it, it would be if she had if her relationship would have been broken up.
Whoa, no, that's different. The context is
if
only
her relationship had broken up.
Excellent, comma.
She wouldn't have suffered. She wouldn't have suffered.
Aha, yes. That's much better. That's difficult. Very good. Very, very good. If she had, if her relationship had broken up, she would have not suffered a lot. Do you think it's easier to use contractions? She wouldn't not. She wouldn't.
Sometimes, yes, it's easier than the whole word.
Yep. Try using contractions. That can make it easier because when we separate this structure is when it becomes more difficult.
If her relationship would her relationship if her relationship had broken up, she wouldn't
Would have.
she wouldn't
Would have not, like this.
okay. So if her relationship had been broken up, she would not suffer a lot.
Exactly. You see, it makes it easier.
Mhm.
And that's faster to express.
Okay.
Very, very good. So what is past perfect? Let's eliminate the grammar names and this. If had plus past participle, then would have. Any question here?
Yes, I have a question.
Absolutely.
The negative word is after would, after have, or it can be both.
Okay. No, it is always after have.
Okay, so we can't say wouldn't.
Exactly. You cannot say wouldn't. Because technically, the principal auxiliary here is have.
Okay.
That was a very good question. The principal auxiliary here is have, not would. Would is only giving you a different intention to the idea. But the negative should be together with have. The interesting thing is that people never say would haven't. That is incorrect. Well, not incorrect, but people never say it. The contraction happens in would have.
Okay. Would if. But it would if not.
Would if not, exactly. So interesting. And I have noticed that American people express a negative in an emphasis way because they every time it's negative and there's so many words, it's necessary to emphasize a not because if you don't emphasize a not, you will not hear the not. So native people usually give an emphasis to the negative. Would have not. I would have not gone to the party. I would have not bought that. See? That is super. So, we need to cover could, may, might, can't, must, and should. Okay? But that is going to be the lesson for Monday. Okay? Anyway, you can take the nutshell right now. This is the nutshell of the class. You can screenshot and you can study it through the weekend so you can give me a lot of examples on Monday. Got it? Easy peasy Japanese.
Teacher, can you send us the tenses book?
Oh yeah, the handbook, of course.
The handbook also, and also the phonetic video.
Sure. Yes. Let me send it to you right now because if I don't send you right now, I'm gonna forget it. Of course, no problem. Sending it right away. Anybody else, guys? Awesome. So the weekend starts now. Have a very nice weekend. Have a good Friday. Close your week as it's supposed, and I'll see you on Monday.
Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
You too. Have a nice day. See you later.
Thank you. See you on Monday.
See you on Monday, girl. Bye-bye. Bye, Alex. See you later.